Sort of. Yes.
Oh, live? We're actually. Oh, you're streaming this.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay. So I'm gonna. Man, I was working on this presentation like Saturday night, all of Sunday,
Mm-hmm.
and now my mind is blank.
Ah!
I don't know where to start. I don't know what to do.
What was the
Well,
like
okay,
what's the topic?
Well, okay, so last time I wanted to try to introduce a series called the Hebrew letters,
Mm-hmm.
and to give people a little bit of an appreciation, because we keep talking about codes, we keep talking about this and divine mathematics and the whole divine nature of the text of Tanakh and the Torah. So I thought it might be a good idea to show people what we're talking about here.
Yeah.
There's no better way to do that than to start with the letters.
Yeah.
Okay, Mike? Okay, we're gonna start.
Well, you're gonna have to share your screen for that, sir.
I'm gonna show my screen. Okay. And if you see,
Oh, I have to let you share your screen.
okay,
Oh, are you able to do it?
I will share screen. Okay.
Here.
Host disabled participant screen sharing. You have to
You're enabled now.
be an enabler.
Try now.
All right. Okay. How's that?
See? Yes, there you are.
Okay.
There you are.
Heyo. All right.
How do I? Oh, there we go.
Okay. So let's just close that. Screenshot. Okay. Oh, since this is open already, I guess you can see this, right?
Yes.
Since this is open, we could start with this. This is kind of interesting. So this is what the Hebrew letters look like when you see them inside of a kosher, of a scroll that is considered kosher, that is approved for reading in public during services. Okay, so this is what the Hebrew letters look like. So there's a couple of traditions which are acceptable.
Yeah.
Okay. And this is generally what they look like. So people could freeze this and they could study it, if they wanted to notice the difference. So this is right here. This is Katav Bet Yosef, and this is generally what you would find in Ashkenazi shuls, right? Which confused me for a while, because whenever I was talking to Sephardic people, and they have like they hold by different standards, which is fine, but like when it comes to like kosher food, like kosher meat, right? Like these guys won't eat these guys' meat, and those guys won't eat the other guy. So the Sephardim, they pride themselves on Bet Yosef meat.
Yeah, but that's Bet Yosef, whatever. Yeah.
Right. So I always associated that with Sephardim, but then so Katav Bet Yosef, I thought, nope, it's not. It's Ashkenazim. Okay, fine.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and down here, right here.
Yes.
Isn't that cool? See, like the mouse gets really big. I love that. Right here, folks. This is the Sephardic. This is the Sephardic tradition. Right? All right. And you can tell the differences. Like let's pay attention to the Aleph. That's always a good place to start. So you see, Aleph here, and you see that it's a little bit different. Yeah. Right. You see the leg over here. Right. It's but still lots of similarities. Okay. So this is all considered acceptable according to the law, and we're going to take a look at the law, or not in its entirety, but just to give you a sense of the obsessive detail in which Jews do stuff. But it's not really our fault. That's what it says in the Torah. It just goes to show you the obsessive nature. So, okay, so this is the Ashkenazi tradition, most of the Ashkenazi tradition. This is the Sephardic tradition. Okay, so you'll find Yemenites, Moroccans, and Jews from the Orient, okay, mostly following this tradition. Yeah. Okay, but over here, these letters right here are according to the Arizal, Rabbi Yitzhak Luria.
Yeah.
Okay. As you can see, it's mostly the same. So let's look at the Aleph
It's big Yosef.
as the Bet Yosef. See, here's the Bet Yosef Aleph right here.
Mhm.
Right? So you see it's kind of the same, right? Except for over here, this part, the body of the Yud is a little bit longer
Yeah.
than the top one. And it kind of resembles an upside down letter Dalet, like this, like a little Dalet. Okay. And this one is two Yuds. Okay. Now that's not an argument.
Not to be confused with two youths from
Yeah,
Michael's
not
two
right.
youths.
The two youths in question, the two youths. I wore this ridiculous thing for you.
What a wonderful movie.
I like that. I love that movie. Man, Marissa, you like, you know, I look at Marissa Tomei, I'm like, you sure she's not Jewish?
Yeah, right?
Come on.
Yep.
You know what I mean? I wanted to be permissible. So bad when
God,
I love her so much. Anyway,
Italians and Jews are close, you know? Well, in some
you know,
ways.
she's from my neighborhood. She went to Murrow.
Did she? Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. She's like, she sounds exactly like a girl from my neighborhood.
Fine.
Unbelievable. Anyway,
Buick
by the way,
Skylock. Buick Skylock.
Sky, yeah.
The ball tires, the white wall tires on the Buick Skylock.
Her character in My Cousin Vinny was exactly like the girls that I grew up
She won an Oscar for that character.
with. Right. No, it's
Amazing.
even,
But yeah.
anyway, but yeah, so the two Yuds right here, okay?
Yeah.
These two Yud, this is a Yud and this is a Yud, okay? So this and this is not an argument. This is not like one person thinks that their version is right. Both of these are correct in certain contexts.
Yeah.
Okay. There's no contention here. This is not an argument. Okay. These are all acceptable traditions, and not just acceptable, they're all necessary.
Yeah.
If anybody has ever seen the movie The Ninth Gate, it was this kind of like, you know, speaking of Scarface, we were talking about Scarface. I think it was, no, I'm mistaken. I was going to say, who directed Scarface? Why can't I remember the guy's name?
De Palma?
De Palma, yes, Brian De Palma. What's wrong with me, right?
Yeah.
So I was going to say that The Ninth Gate was directed by De Palma, but it wasn't. It was directed by Roman Polanski.
Oh my
Anyway,
God.
but it was with Johnny Depp. Did you ever see it?
I've never seen it.
So Johnny Depp is a rare book dealer, let's say, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he deals in antique books, and his clientele are mostly, you know, crazy rich people, basically.
Yeah.
Right? So he was hired to find this one book, which was it was written. It was like a way to contact the devil
Interesting.
and to have a relationship with him, and you know.
Yeah.
So, but in order for the book to work, you had to find. There were 4 copies made of it, only 4.
Mhm.
Okay, and the books had illustrations
Mhm.
inside the books. Okay, and you couldn't figure out the code unless you had all the books together and you
Mhm.
analyzed some of the details in the books and found the differences between them, which gave you
Interesting.
information.
Interesting.
So whenever you have different quote unquote arguments, machloket, in the Gemara, or you have like different traditions, right, which are acceptable within the framework of halacha, you must know that this is not an argument.
Yeah.
They're all necessary. We couldn't be able to live, even though we don't use the Sephardic tradition, we need it. We needed to know Torah. We can't know Torah without it, and vice versa. And the same thing with the Ari. So we saw the difference between the Aleph, okay, right? Almost the same. You see this Aleph is pointing, it's the same kind of, okay. Now, here's another little difference. You see the Vav is almost exactly the same, except Ari has a little bit of a, right, this coats, this little spike coming up, okay? Now this is interesting. You see the het. Right.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Now the het here is very similar to the Sephardic het, as you can see, right? Like the second, this is like a vav / Zion, right? It's like if you took this and mixed it with this. If you mix these two, you'd get this. A rounded right side and a squared left side. Okay. And that's the same as this. Right?
Yeah.
But what's interesting is that the Ari, he made the right into a vav. See, it's totally rounded. Okay.
Yeah.
Even though it still has some of the characteristics of the leg of a Zion, but it looks much more like a vav. And there's a reason for that, of course. Okay. And you can see the tzaddik here, right? The yud, the face of the yud is pointing up and to the right. And over here, the face of the yud is pointing straight and to the right. I'm sorry, this one is pointing up and to the left. This is the face. This is the face. And it's pointing up and to the left. And this one is pointing straight back to the right. Okay, that's not an accident. Everything is absolutely deliberate. Okay, now here's look at the shin over here. Okay, right. It's almost, it's nearly the same. Okay. It kind of looks almost exactly, I see what the difference is. Over here in the Ashkenazic tradition, the Bet Yosef, you have the head of the yud, right? The square shaped yud. And you see that its leg is coming down from the middle. Okay, over here, it's coming down from the left side. So there's a reason for that. Okay. And then finally the tav. Where's the tav? The tav, here it is. Okay. So here you have the tav. Okay. And it's the same idea. In the Ashkenazi tradition, it's coming down from the center, and over here, it's coming from the left leg. I'm not going to drive you guys crazy with this. I just wanted to get people started, anybody interested in this topic, to really be able to pay attention to the differences, okay? Because it's the differences where the information is, okay? If you want to break the code, you got to find the subtle differences. Now here is the fourth tradition. Okay, this is according to the Alter Rebbe. Okay, this is the Ktav of the Alter Rebbe. Okay.
Interesting.
Right? Yeah. Okay. It seems to be almost.
Is that what's in most Chabad in the Torahs you see in Chabad houses?
Hopefully. This is the most difficult script. You have to be only the most proficient scribe can accomplish this in its style and still make it halachically correct. Okay.
Yeah.
So anyway, these are the four traditions. So anything outside of this is not within the tradition. However, if you find a scroll, a Torah scroll, I think, or a pair of tefillin or a mezuzah that doesn't have these type of characters, these letters formed perfectly by one of these four traditions, it doesn't necessarily make it not kosher.
Yeah.
The general idea is if the letter looks like the letter that it's supposed to be, then it's kosher.
Yeah.
So the general test is you ask a child. If a child can recognize the letter, then it's acceptable, but after the fact.
Yeah.
Okay? It's not recommended to go and to write a sacred scroll outside of one of these four sacred traditions. Now, the names of these traditions, like you'll see, this is Velish or Sephardish, right? This is Chabad. Okay, this is Bet Yosef. This is the Ari. They did not originate. The Arizal didn't originate this. Okay, the Bet Yosef didn't create this. Okay, Sephardic people, they didn't create this. Okay, these are all ancient traditions that were brought down.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's put that back. Put this back. Okay, so now I wanted to see, if we could just quickly look at some of the, here, this is something else I wanted to look at. So here's a comparison between the two different alphabets that Jewish people always had. Okay, so this is K'tav Ashurit. Okay, and these are the letters that are used today for everything. In modern Israel, they're used, but these letters were never used for mundane purposes in ancient Israel.
Yeah.
They're only used for scrolls or for prayer. And these letters were used for mundane purposes.
That's different from K'tav Ivri, right?
This is Ivri. This is K'tav Ivri.
Yeah, that is Ivri. I can't.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I got you.
Okay. So now that doesn't mean that these letters are not sacred. They do because the second tablets that Moshe Rabbeinu came down with,
Came in those.
after he smashed the first tablets, they were in this form.
This week's Parsha.
Because why?
I said this week's Parsha.
Yeah. Why did they? So the first ones were given with this, with these letters, but the second ones were given this. Do you know, Greg? Do you know why? I think you know.
What is it called? No, decline, I guess.
There was a downgrade.
Yeah.
In the revelation of Torah.
Yeah.
Even the Torah itself, there's this concept that the Vilna Gaon and many people talk about, and the Leshen.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about this idea of the Torah in exile.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. One of the examples is you have these crazy midrashic stories in the Talmud and outside of the Talmud that when you read them, they can be sometimes absurd, but sometimes they're downright like offensive. Like they would make a sailor blush, some of these stories, and it makes you wonder, like, how can anything like that seems that vulgar or strange be associated with the Torah? But those stories are coded fables, and all of the secrets of the universe of the Torah are encoded within those stories. And that's an artifact of the golden calf, of the sin of the golden calf. Because before the golden calf sin, all of that information that's encoded in some of these crazy stories that you have to decipher, it was out in the open. It didn't need to be coded. Okay?
By the way, I never knew that the Leshen taught Rav Kook Kabbalah.
I never knew that either until you just told me.
Yeah. Yashav taught Rabbi, because Rav Kook is from Lithuania as well.
Yeah.
The Leshem was Lithuania, and he taught Rav Kook when Rav Kook was a young rabbi of the town of Zoimo in Lithuania, and so Rav Kook was given a leave of absence for a month to study with the Leshem. And then, as 1922, when Rav Kook was serving as the chief rabbi of Jerusalem, Rabbi Elyashiv asked him for assistance in settling Eretz Israel. Because Rabbi Elyashiv moved there. That's where he passed away in Jerusalem. Due to Rav Kook's intervention, the great Kabbalist, his son-in-law, daughter, and his 11-year-old grandson would grow up to be the great scholar Rabbi Yosef Shalom Elyashiv were allowed to emigrate to the land of Israel. Is this the same? Yeah. Oh, so wow. So Rav Kook, thanks to Rav Kook, Rabbi Elyashiv of Bnei Brak, I'm sorry, of Jerusalem, not Beinbach, I apologize. Big posek in like the Haredi one.
What was his name again?
Shalom Eliashiv. That's the that was the grandson of the Leshem. Rav Eliashiv,
Yeah.
who passed away in 2012. So he says one particularly poignant story tells of a visit to the revered Leshem paid to the chief rabbi. It was a bitterly cold winter evening, and Rav Kook noted that the Leshem had no coat. Rav Kook immediately took his own fur-lined coat from his closet and gave it to the elderly man as a gift. The coat remained with the Eliashiv family as an heirloom, was periodically worn by Rabbi Yosef Shalom Eliashiv on wintry days. Rabbi Eliashiv died in 1926. This is Leshem, died in 26. And is buried in Har Zaitim. I knew this about them and Rav Kook. Interesting. His family. Anyway.
Yeah.
Sorry.
There's a remind me to talk about two things like later. I don't want to get too off topic.
Sure.
I think it was, if we're talking about the same grandson, the Leshem, I think he hosted back in Europe. He hosted it was either the Rebbe Rayatz, meaning the Friedeker Rebbe, or the Rebbe, or the Rebbe Menachem Mendel Schneers in Europe, and they became friends, and they were having a discussion about vegetarianism, which is very, very interesting. Okay.
Well, Rav Kook was into that. Rav Kook was a big.
Right. Rav Kook wasn't a total vegetarian. I think he ate meat on Fridays, but his student, Rabbi David Cohen, I believe.
David Cohen, he was a
Nazir.
The Nazir.
The Nazir, yeah. And he was a full vegetarian.
Yeah.
And actually, this is the Nazir. No, you know what? I'm mixing up. This is the Nazir's son. Also, he was the chief rabbi in one of the
Nazir's son. Who was his son? Nazir's son. What was his name?
Well, I didn't want to get off on this topic.
Anyway,
but we'll, because I'll get more of the details if anybody's interested in listening to this. And the other thing that I just saw yesterday, but I didn't confirm it yet. I need a reminder to do the math. Apparently, when you do the fulfillment of the name Moshe, right? Like you write out the name of each letter. Okay, so the gematria of that is the same as Yitzhak Luria. I didn't do the math yet. We could do it together later, but I just wanted to.
By the way, you know who the son of David Cohen was? The Shar Eliyahu Yosef Shar Yashuv Cohen.
That's the one I'm sorry.
Eliyahu Yosef Shar Yashuv Cohen, born in Jerusalem, 18th generation descendant in a family of rabbis and Torah scholars. The name Shar Yashuv is based on the eponymous son of the prophet Isaiah. His father was Rabbi David Cohen, who's known as the Nazir of Jerusalem. His mother was Sarah Etkin, among the founders of Omen, a religious women's organization that became the Emunah movement. Interesting.
So the story is that that he came to speak with the Rebbe, right? And the Rebbe asked him a question. The Rebbe questioned his vegetarianism.
Yeah.
And he said, "How do you justify that?" And he showed him all the sources, the Stei Chemed, and all of the halachic sources who were they were praising the idea. There's so much we should have like a separate discussion about that. And apparently, according to this Rabbi Cohen that we're talking about, the Rebbe said, "You have defeated me."
Interesting.
Yeah. So,
well, look, I just want to read it real quick. According to family tradition, Lubavitcher Rebbe Menachem Mendel Schneerson hid in Cohen's grandfather's house after the Bolshevik Revolution. In his youth, he became close to Rav Kook. Yeshayahu Hadari, co-founder of Yeshivat Kotel, said that Rav Kook used to attend the Malava Malka at the Cohen home, and Eliyahu would play the violin. Says the Shar Yashuv. Cohen and his sister were encouraged to become Nazarites, but they chose not to follow in their father's path, apart from remaining vegetarians. When he was growing up, Cohen's hair was not cut. He wore canvas shoes and he followed the Nazarite practices of his father. At age 12, a special Beit Din of Jerusalem rabbis convened in his house to release him from the Nazarite vow. Even afterwards, out of an idealism for the holiness of life, he did not eat meat, including fish, nor did he drink wine. Interesting. Anyway, go on.
Okay, so back to the letters.
Yes. The
Okay.
last thing out of that.
So anyway, these letters they definitely have a measure of holiness. There's no question about that. Okay, but these are the letters that the first tablets were written in, and there's a reason for that, and hopefully over time we'll discover that. Okay? So in this presentation, I'm not going to succeed in explaining why the letters are so important in the form. I wanted to make people aware of certain ideas so that we can talk about them more fully later. So I wanted to read. So there's going to be, on a side note, there's going to be a lot of wise guys who consider themselves academics, and they're going to say, "Oh no, you see the Ktav Ashurit, your supposed holy Ashurit, it came from Babylonia. The Jews never had it before that." Okay, that's a very common, Amalekite statement.
Criticism,
yeah. I call it Amalekite. I'm sure.
Yeah.
I'm sure some people consider that a little harsh, but here's a section from the Talmud, okay, from Talmud Sanhedrin, page 21 on the B side. Okay, so it says Mar Zutra, or some say Mar Ukva. That's the name of a person, of a rabbi.
Yeah.
He said, quote, "Originally, the Torah was given to Israel in Ivri letters," meaning these letters right here.
Yeah.
And in the sacred language, okay, in both. Later, in the times of Ezra, the Torah was given in Ashurit script and the Aramaic language. Okay. Finally, they selected for Israel the Ashurit script and the Hebrew language, leaving the Ivri characters and the Aramaic language for commoners. So who are the commoners? Rav Chisda said, the Kuthites, the Samaritans. What is Kitav Ivri? Rav Chisda said, Libonah. According to Rashi, this means large characters such as are employed in amulets. According to Tosafot, it is the name of a certain locale. Okay, so Rav Chisda said Libonah script, the ancient Hebrew. Okay, so it was taught. Rebbe said. Rebbe is a rabbi from the Talmud. Torah was originally given to Israel in Ashurit script. This script. Okay. When they sinned, it was changed to Ro'etz, which is the Ivri script, what they call the Proto-Hebrew or the Proto-Canaanite or Proto-Phoenician. Okay, academics, that's what they call it. Okay. So when they repented, Ashurit script was reintroduced. Okay. Rabbi Shimon ben Elazar said, in the name of Rabbi Eliezer ben Parta, who said in the name of Rabbi Elazar Hamodai, quote, "This writing was never changed. It was always Ashurit script." So seemingly, opinions B and C hold that the Torah was originally written in Ashurit, and opinion A holds that it was in Ivri. But it's not so simple, as we shall see when examining the tablets. Okay. The tablets, he's talking about the Ten Commandments. Okay. So we have these miraculous letters. Okay. So the Talmud describes the miraculous script of the tablets. Rav Chisda, that's Rabbi from the Talmud, he said, the letters Mem and Samech of the tablets stood in place only by a miracle. He wrote, that's written in the volume of Talmud called Shabbat on page 104. Okay? So the Talmud explains that the letters were engraved all the way through the stone to the opposite side. Can you picture that?
Yeah.
It's like, just to use an English letter as an example. So imagine a block of stone. These tablets were not really tablets. They were actually given as square stones, like cubes. They were cubes, okay, made of sapphire. Okay. And when the letters were engraved, it went all the way through the stone to the other side.
Yeah.
Let's wait for Greg. Greg seems to be feeding.
What am I doing?
I don't know. You look like you were feeding a dragon or something.
What?
You look like you were feeding like some beast you had tied up in the.
What?
That's what it looked like, man.
Look like?
Oh, that's what it looked like.
What do you mean? You can see me?
I could see you.
Oh, I can't see you.
Yeah, because you could see my screen.
But can anybody see me?
I don't know.
Probably not. Haha. Ho ho. No, I was just changing into house pants.
Okay. I didn't even notice that part. Anyway, so just going back to what you said, the 10 Commandments were written on sapphire cubes, and the letters were not just engraved a little bit into stone cubes. They went all the way through, okay, from one side to the other. But that's kind of an issue when you have circular letters or letters that are enclosed on all four sides, okay? Like these letters right here, the Samech and the Mem, the final Mem, okay? All right, so what is especially difficult with this passage is that the author of Chisda, who is effectively saying that the tablets were given in Ketav Ashurit, is the very same rabbi who agrees with and elaborates upon the first opinion above, that the Torah was given in Ketav Ivri. Okay. What complicates things even further? Okay. What complicates things even further is that there is an opinion in the Jerusalem Talmud that it was the letter ayin that was held in place miraculously. Okay. So this would imply that it was written in Ketav Ivri and not Ashurit, since the letter ayin in Ivri, this right here, okay, as opposed to Ashurit, okay, is indeed a closed letter. So see below how the Samech and Mem are closed letters in Ashurit, and the ayin is closed in Ivri. Okay, so this is the ayin in Ashurit, and this is the ayin in Ivri. So it's an enclosed letter. Okay, which means that if you can picture this on the stone, right? So there was a circle that was carved in the stone all the way from one side to the other, which means this entire middle section would normally drop out. It would disappear. Like you'd have to pull it out. It wouldn't hover in place normally.
Yeah.
But it did with the tablets. That's one of their properties, one of the special properties. Okay. All right. So to resolve this, Rabbi Yom Tov Al Ishbili, known as the Ritva, he lived between 1250 and 1330. He explains that the tablets and the Torah scroll that was kept in the Holy Ark were written in Ketav Ashurit, this kind. Okay? All right. This was considered a sacred script. However, neither Moses or the Israelites wished to use this holy script for mundane purposes. This reverence extended even to the Torah scrolls that were written for the purposes of study by the masses. So they were written in Ketav Ivri, this time. Okay. Or as Rabbi Yehuda Low, known as the Maharal of Prague, okay, he says, while the tablets and the original Torah scroll were written in the beautiful Ashurit script, Ashurit can be translated to mean beautiful. It is only logical that the Torah for the masses would be given to them in the script the people were familiar with. So just stop for a second. One of the reasons why there's a criticism about the Ashurit script is because of the word Ashurit. They want to assume that that means it came from Assyria. Assyria was part of the Babylonian Empire. It was the the western edge of the Babylonian Empire. So Assyria, okay? But the word Ashurit, it's a Hebrew word, and it means rich, wealthy, okay? The reason why it's called wealthy is not just because it's beautiful, but it's wealthy in coded information, okay? Which is something that we're going to delve into, how information is coded in the form of the script. Okay. So, all right. I mean, that's basically, we don't have to read this whole thing. I just wanted to give you guys a sense that both of these scripts are good. Okay, we love them. They're important. Everything, especially, I really like it because you see, I found this interesting property that you have. One second. Here's the Zion. Okay, so Yud, hey, where's the Yud? Sorry, Yud. Okay, here's the Yud. It looks like a Z, right? Greg?
Yes.
Sleeping already? Did I put you to sleep?
No, not sleeping. Responding to a family mini crisis. I should call him mini crisis.
Yeah. So look, here's the Yud, but here's the Yud in Ivri, right? Looks like a Z, right?
Yes.
Okay. And here is the Hey, looks like an E, right? Kind of looks like an E, no?
Yes.
Yeah, it looks like an E. Okay.
Backwards E. Oh, yeah.
Backwards E, right. So, and then you have the Vav, okay, which kind of looks like an L. Okay, and then the Hey like an E. So when you have Yud Hey Vav Hey, it looks like the first 4 letters of my last name, Zella, you know? So it just kind of was like, I just noticed that. I was like, whatever. I don't care. I thought it was awesome. Greg is responding to a family tragedy. So
I am.
he can't even, not a tragedy, but a minor squabble, and he can't even make fun of my stupid observation about my name. So, okay. So, so let's put this away. Okay. I wanted to just show you guys an example of the detail that goes into writing the letters, okay, as it's laid out in Jewish law. So this is from the Shulchan Aruch Harav. This is the Shulchan Aruch that was written by the Alter Rebbe, first Lubavitcher Rebbe. Okay. And so this is a section. Okay. It's really a commentary on the Bet Yosef. Okay, it's the same layout. Okay, so this is the letter Aleph. Okay, right here. I wish it was bigger. Let me see if I can make it a little bit bigger. Okay. One more time. Okay, so these are the shapes of the letters. Okay, so the upper right arm of the Aleph. Actually, let me get it as we're describing it. Hang on. This is the letter that we're talking about right now that's being described in these words. So the upper right arm of the Aleph should be shaped like a Yud, right here, okay. It must therefore have a thorn-like projection, okay, check, right there, thorn-like projection, extending from 3 of its corners, as is required of a Yud. That's the law. So here's the one projection. Over here, it's a little hard to see, but right here on the right side, that's another projection. And then here, over here, where it connects to the Vav, the line over here, that's the 3rd projection. Okay. Okay. As is required by Yud. Okay. As an initial and preferred option, there should be one projection above. Okay. There should also be two projections below. So here's the one above, and then here's the two below, right there. Okay. The one to the right should touch the diagonal shaft of the Aleph. This is the right projection, and this is touching the shaft, okay? Okay, if it does not, the letter is invalid, as will be explained. Just curious for a second. Okay, that's a very long explanation. Let's go back to the text. Okay. Second. Okay, I'm back. All right, so initially there should also be a second projection to the left, which should not touch the shaft. So here's the second projection to the left, okay? It's not touching, okay? Though if it does touch the letter, it's still valid after the fact, okay? So the initial preference is that the front, the left edge of this yud, and its upper projection should be slightly slanted upward. See how it's slanted upward? And just as a distinction,
Yes.
hold on, just want to find comparison. Sorry, just a moment. Greg is a whiz at editing, folks. Sorry, all these quiet moments, he'll work them out. He'll find a way to get rid of it. Okay, where the hell is it? Oh, there it is. Okay. Okay, so over here, you see it's pointing slightly up and to the left. This is a little bit up, kind of, it's more up. Okay, let's put it that way. All right. Okay. All right. Okay, and okay, so according to a tradition received from Rabbi Yehuda the Chassid, who lived 1,000 years ago, it is initially preferable that the foot of this yud should touch the middle of the shaft of the Aleph, okay, which is slightly different than some other traditions, which is fine. Okay, see where the foot of the yud is touching the shaft? It's like right in the middle. Okay. All right, and okay, not its lower end. It is also initially preferable that the tip projecting from the right upper edge of this yud curves slightly upward, though not excessively. According to the mystical tradition, the lower leg of the left should at times be shaped like a small inverted dollar. Right, we talked about that. He's talking about this part right here. Okay, this is not one of those examples. Okay, so where the hell am I? According to okay, according to the mystical tradition, the lower leg at the left should at times be shaped like a small inverted dalet. According to the Kabbalistic tradition of the Arizal, it should be written in this manner in tefillin. Okay, so when you have the parchment, the little parchment that go into the tefillin boxes, the Aleph has a leg, a lower left leg that's shaped like a little upside down dalet. Okay, so that just gives you an idea that there are certain contexts in which one Aleph is important, and then the other Aleph is also necessary in a different situation. Okay. Okay, so at other times it should resemble a yud, like we have here. Okay. Okay. Hanging by its projection from the shaft of the Aleph. See how it's hanging down by its leg over here? Okay. So the initial preference, therefore, is that it should have a small projection at the lower right. According to the mystical tradition, this projection should be aligned directly under the upper projection of the upper yud. So there's a symmetry here. There's a mirror-like symmetry. Okay. Okay. So I just wanted to, just to show you there's a lot of other legalistic detail. There are books devoted to explaining all the tiny little details. I ordered one of these books, by the way, but it's called the Alpha Besa. I'm expecting it on Wednesday, and it's entirely in Hebrew, which means I'm going to need help reading it. I need my rabbi to help me understand this book, but hopefully I'll be able to bring you the Kabbalistic reasons why all of this detail is necessary.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So that's what I'm, okay. So let's put this away for now, and let's put this away, and let's talk about the Aleph itself.
Hmm.
Okay, let's put that away. Okay. So, all right, let's see now. Okay, so it's just, here's a big Aleph. Okay. Okay. You see that this is the one that looks a little bit like a Dalet. Okay, this is the one that you would find in the tefillin. Okay.
Yeah.
Put that away. Okay. This is, by the way, how you spell the name of the letter Aleph. Okay. Aleph. See that? That's how it's spelled.
Yes.
Okay. This is from a book which is called The Inner Meaning of the Hebrew Letters by Robert M. Haralick, who was one of the pioneers of Torah codes, by the way. The modern computer analyzed Torah codes. Okay. Okay. So let me see. This is from his book. Yeah, wait, hold on. Let's read the other one first. So the Aleph, the pulsating unbridled force. So the leader and master letter of the Hebrew alphabet is the first letter Aleph, okay, which is spelled Aleph, the way we just saw it, and has a numerical value of 1. Just the letter Aleph itself is 1. Okay? Now, a cognate word, as you can see, right, it's spelled with the same consonants, but the vowels here are different. Greg, can you see that? Or should
Yes.
Let me see if I can make it a little bigger. Okay. So here you see this is how you spell this top one, name of the letter Aleph. And this right here is the word for 1,000, Elef. You see that the vowels are different, but the letters are actually the same. Okay. So Elef means 1,000. Okay. Okay. So this gives you some of the examples in which these words are actually used in the Torah, just to show you that it's not, it's not just made up, it's used. Okay? So here's the, folks could freeze this and take a look at it. And here are the, okay, take a look for yourself. Okay. Elef can also mean 1,000 in the sense of an indefinitely large number or quantity that is innumerable, especially when the reference is God related. So basically, Elef is either 1,000 or it can be used as a word which represents, it's an appellation for infinity. Okay. We'll get to the reason why some other time. Okay. So here, so Aleph, which is, again, this is the name of the letter, is related to Aluf, which can mean master or champion, okay, or head, right? Okay, tribal chief, or brigadier general in some cases. Let me make this smaller so you guys can see the whole thing. Okay, and the usage is actually of the word aluf You could see that in Genesis chapter 36, towards the end of 36. But you see this, like somebody complained to me and said, but wait a minute, this is a different word. Okay, fine, it has the letter Aleph, Lamed, and Fe, which this has, but what about this Vav over here, right? So it's not the same as this. But this Vav, that's not a letter in this context.
Yeah.
Because you see the dot on its stomach right here? There's like a little dot.
Yeah.
Okay, this is a Vav. This is called that's a vowel, which makes the oo sound. So when you see a Vav with a dot on its stomach or on its head, it's not a letter anymore. It serves as a vowel. Okay, so it's still, this is a vowel, and these are the three consonants. Okay. All right, one more second. Okay. So it's interesting. So this aluf means a chief or a ruler, right? A general, a prince. So what does a chief or master do? He does iluf. He teaches, he trains, he guides, and he domesticates the untamed Aleph. Okay? So iluf, you could see that.
Mm-hmm.
He teaches, right?
Yeah.
It has that same vowel over here, but the first vowel is a dot. It's a hirik, which makes the E sound. So it's iluf. So here's the examples of its usages. You could see that in the notes. Okay. And then you have the word aluf, which means a domesticated animal, such as a sheep, a cow, and an ox. And here's its usage over here. So that's the name of the letter Aleph. Okay. And you could see that it has multiple, it's the root of multiple different words, which obviously are all connected. They're all related to each other. Okay. All right, so let's just take a look at the vowels really quickly. Okay. This vowel over here, this is the komats. It's an sound, like UH. This little stick right here, this is the the patach. This is the tseire, it makes an A sound, like the fons, A. This is segol, it makes the sound, like pet or met. This is a shava, it also makes the sound, but usually only at the beginning of a word. If you see it in the middle of a word, it's usually silent, okay? But not all the time. Okay. See, this is the holam. This is the letter vav with a dot on its head. When you see this configuration, it becomes a vowel. It becomes the V sound from the vav drops away, and it makes the O sound. O. Like oh boy, that kind of stuff. Okay. Just one dot, right? It's called the hirik. All right. And it makes the E sound. Okay. 3 diagonal dots like this. It's the kubutz. It makes the U sound. And this vowel right here, see, another configuration of vav and a dot. It's called the shuruk, and it also makes the U sound. Okay. Right. And these are just combinations. We don't have to deal with that right now. But these are the vowels. And you see they also have names. There's a reason for that. Okay. The vowels are considered the soul of the letters. The letters are like the body to the vowels. Okay. This is something I really want to show you. Do you remember last time when we were saying how like every letter in the alphabet is just an iteration? It's a version of the letter Aleph, because really there's only one sound in the universe, and that's the Aleph. And the Bet is 2 Alephs, and the Gimel is 3 Alephs, and the Dalet is 4 Alephs, and so on and so forth, all the way until the end of the alphabet, with Tav is 400 Alephs. Do you remember that?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Hold on, I have something here just to kind of make that a little bit easier to see. Let me just find it. Sorry guys, just give me a moment. This one I had it. Nope, that's not it. Okay, no, because I had a chart of the gematria, the letter. So, okay, I'll find it later.
Yeah.
Okay,
It's all good.
that's fine. So, I was saying that every letter and every sound in the entire universe, even if it sounds like you're listening to a bunch of different sounds, it's really just Aleph reverberating upon itself, okay, in certain frequencies.
Yeah.
Okay. So every sound and every letter is the Aleph itself. Now I'm gonna show you one way in which that's encoded. This idea is encoded. This right here is this is all the letters of the alphabet, okay? And they're divided into groups based on the part of the mouth which makes the sound, okay? So this is the otiot shebegaron. The garon is the throat, okay? So these are the letters that are the throaty letters. They're produced primarily by the throat. And they're there's a little mistake here. Whoever made this graph, I think they made a little mistake. I'm not sure. Okay, but so you have the Aleph, okay? Then you have the Hey. So the Hey really should be here because this is organized in alphabetical order. It's supposed to be, okay? But just imagine that the Hey is over here and the Het, actually the Het should be here, whatever. It's a little bit disorganized, okay? So these are the letters that are produced by the throat: Aleph, Het, Ayin, and Hey. Okay, so really the Hey should be the second letter. Okay, the Het should be the third, and the Ayin the last. Okay, because that would be the order they're found in the alphabet. Okay. What's interesting is that the Aleph, it represents the base of all sounds. Okay. Really, the first sound that is made whenever you're trying to speak, whenever you're trying to sing anything, is actually represented by the letter Hey. Huh, right? Like, think about it. The air is exiting your body, right? It's exiting through, it's coming up from your lungs and it's exiting through your throat, okay? But it's initiated by the Aleph. Okay, so Hey is the first distinguishable sound that can come out of a person, but the Aleph represents the breath itself that generates the Hey. You follow me, Greg?
Yes.
Okay. So in that sense, it's the origin and the root of every sound. That's one way. But here's another way, which I think is very interesting. But so here's again, the first group. These are the letters produced by the throat primarily. Okay, these are the letters which are produced by the so the G, Y, K. These are the palate letters, like G, Y, K, and K. These are produced by the palate. Okay, you see they're in alphabetical order. Okay, these are the letters that are produced by the tongue: the D, the T, the L, the N, and the T. If you focus where this sound is produced, you'll see that's the case. Okay, so then you have the letters which are produced with the teeth. The teeth are involved in this. So the Z, the S, the S or the Sh, the R, and the Ts. Okay, and then finally we have the letters which are produced primarily with the lips: the B, the V, the M, and the F. Okay, and all of these letters, this list is supposed to be presented in alphabetical order, in the sense that, the Hey comes after the Aleph, okay, and the Het comes after the Hey, and the Ayin comes after the Het. So this is a little bit disarranged, but it's fine. Okay. But this amazing phenomenon occurs. So you have these 5 categories, and this is not a made-up category, right? This is a reflection of nature, isn't it? Right? This wasn't organized by a person, because these sounds, which are universal sounds of the human mouth, okay, and all languages and all the letters that have produced these sounds are organized into these categories, because you only have so many places in your mouth that produce sounds, and all of the B's in the world of every language are produced with the lips, and all of the H sounds, right, or the ah sounds in the world are produced from the throat. Okay, so these are all. This is just a reflection of nature. Nature organized this, meaning God. Okay, it wasn't artificial, is my point. Okay, this is organic. But check out this phenomenon. So we start with the first sound that produces every other sound, right? The breath that you can't even hear, because it starts deep in the lungs. That's the Aleph. Okay, it's before you even hear anything. Okay, so that's the first. That obviously has to be the first letter. Okay. Now, if you go towards the middle, right, the lamed over here. Okay, that's the exact middle of this grouping. Okay, that's produced by the tongue, but it's just interesting that because this is the order that we find it in the alphabet. So here it is. And then this entire grouping ends with the letter Pei. So you see it's Aleph. The Aleph encompasses this entire system, this organic, natural system of speech. Aleph. You see that, Greg?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is not something that's conveniently organized to impress you. This is what I'm showing you here. Nature itself produced it. It shows you that Aleph is a constant of nature itself. Okay, so when this idea of when you hear this idea from Kabbalah that the Aleph is the only sound and everything is contained within the Aleph, this is another kind of way of thinking about that. There's a lot more ways that could be shown, but this I think is a very important. Okay, so take that off. Okay, let's see what else we have here. Second. Okay, so this is from the Understanding the Aleph base. We've read from this book before. So now I'm not going to read entire sections. I'm just going to choose little snippets, okay, which I think are the most important things. Okay, so the Aleph, we talked about this. The Aleph is formed by attaching two yuds, each with a numerical value of 10. Because as we said before, the gematria of yud is 10. Okay? So you have two yuds in the Aleph, right? So that's 20, okay? And then they're attached to a diagonal vav. And vav has a numerical value of 6. So the total composite value is 26, which is the numerical value of God's name, as we know, Yud, Hey, Vav, Hey. Okay? Here it is, right? Yud, Hey, Vav, Hey, 26. Okay? So the letter Aleph, with its intrinsic numerical value of 1 and its composite value of 26, fully represents the uniqueness of Hashem by its very shape, okay? Because it's made of two yuds and a vav, okay? And its composition. So the significance of the Aleph being composed from two yuds and diagonal vav will be explained further. Okay, fine. As mentioned, the letter Aleph represents Hashem's glory. After Adam Harishon ate from the forbidden fruit, Hashem had to hide some of his glory from human perception. So you see, it kind of goes back to that theme where when people sin, some of the revelation is hidden or encoded in strange garments, and it becomes disguised. Okay. So after Adam Harishon ate from forbidden fruit, Hashem had to hide some of his glory from human perception. This is the reason that Adam was unable to remain in Gan Eden. For while there, he was able to appreciate Hashem's full glory. While he was in there, he was able to participate, and my cat is not able to participate in the glory of the shear, which is why it keeps interrupting us. But that's a different story. Now, okay. Shut up. Okay. It doesn't listen to me. Can I call you back in 5 minutes and find out what he wants?
Who, the cat? Yeah.
Yes. I just need, no, even less than 5 minutes.
We're kind of like, we're live in the
Oh, we're live. Okay, I forgot.
Yeah.
All right, shut up, Balrog. Beat it.
Bell Rock.
Yeah, I call it Balrog. He's so cute and small. I don't want to give him a weenie, I didn't want to give him a wimpy name. I want to give him a name which will strike fear into the hearts of men. And I have another one called the Kraken, his brother. You know why I called him that?
Yeah.
For the same reason, but also then you could say, release the Kraken.
Yeah.
I say that every day.
Yeah.
And I do. And I do.
Release the Kraken.
That's right. And then I could say, special set of skills. Okay. Anyway, so let's see. At the time of creation, the letter Vav. Okay. At the time of creation, the letter Vav in the original shape of the Aleph was written in a vertical position. This is really cool. You see how it's like diagonal here, right?
Yeah.
It's actually written vertically. Before the sin, before Adam ate from the tree, it was vertical. Okay? It was straight up and down. And so another consequence of Hashem hiding his glory was that from that point on, the Vav in the letter Aleph would be written in a diagonal position. And the Yud that forms the foot of the Aleph would be written in an elongated form, similar to the shape of an inverted Dalet, as is seen in the Arizal script. The elongation of the Yud represents the distancing from Hashem that resulted from Adam Harishon's sin. So, the idea of elongation, something stretching, that's the idea of distancing, right, of a distance. So that's part of the reason why it has like, the bottom Yud in the Aleph is a little bit longer. So the Aleph, this is amazing. The Aleph as an ellipse. The Magen David views the shape. The Magen David is the name of a rabbi who lived like 600 years ago, okay, maybe more. The Magen David views the shape of the letter Aleph as a symbolic of the elliptical orbits of the planets. Each Yud corresponds to a focal point, while the letter Vav represents the axis of the ellipse. Initially, before the sin of Adam Harishon, all the planets revolved around the sun in circular orbits, perfectly circular orbits, corresponding to the fact that the Vav at the axis of the Aleph was in a vertical position, right? Creating a rotation that forms a circle, which has one focus, okay, which would be the center point of the circle. After the sin, the Vav was tilted diagonally and elongated, and subsequently all the orbits became elliptical with two foci. An ellipse is in fact an elongated circle. As mentioned, a result of Adam Harishon's sin was that the letter Yud that forms the bottom leg of the Aleph was elongated to create the shape of the Dalet. Okay. Okay. Yet the letter Dalet has a triangular value of 10. This is the triangular value, by the way. Dalet has the gematria of 4. So Dalet in Hebrew is the number 4. Okay. So the triangular value is where you add up all of the numbers that come before the number that you're focusing on. So in this case, 4 is the focus. So 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 equals 10. Okay. So in that way, it's still connected to the Yud, right? Like the Dalet, right? It started out as a Yud, which is 10, and then it elongated into the Dalet, but Dalet still has a triangular value of 10. So there's a connection there. It never went too far away from its initial form. Okay. The above numerical equivalency between the Yud and the Dalet corresponds to the equality that is stipulated in Kepler's second law of planetary motion. Each planet's orbit creates an ellipse with the sun at one of the foci. Kepler's law states that a planet in its orbit moves faster when it is closer to the sun and decelerates again as it moves further away. So we infer from this that if an imaginary line were drawn from the sun to a planet, that line would sweep out equal areas during equal intervals of time. So when the planet is far from the sun and moving slowly, those sections will be long and narrow. And when it is close to the sun and moving quickly, they'll be short and wide. Each of these pie-shaped sections will be equal in area. So this is an example of what he's talking about. Okay, the two foci, right? Those are the actual planets. This is an illustration of Kepler's second law of planetary motion. As we said above, the two yuds of the aleph correspond to the two foci. Since the lower yud has been changed to a daled, it is these letters which create the equal areas, and thus these equal sections are represented by the aleph's composite letters of daled and yud. It is important to point out, now this is really cool, that the Magen David, this rabbi who was explaining this, he was explaining the format of the letter Aleph as it alludes to the planetary motion. He died 2 years after the birth of Kepler. So it was actually the Magen David who first brought forth this idea before Kepler.
Interesting.
Now, I'm not saying that Kepler, can you hear frying in the background?
No.
Okay, good. I'm not saying that Kepler was reading the Magen David and then decided to steal his idea. I think it's just what really this is showing that the Torah and nature, when observed correctly, tell the same story if you know how to look. Okay. So let's see.
Interesting.
So the Magen David elaborates on this astronomical theme further. He points out that the letter Yud that forms the upper arm of the letter Aleph is situated in a northeasterly position. Right? We can see that. Let's just open it up for the folks at home. Hang on. Okay. So this is the upper Yud, right? He's saying that he points out that the letter Yud that forms the upper arm of this letter, this one, okay, is situated in a northeasterly position. Okay, and this is symbolic of the rising of the sun at dawn, which corresponds to the attribute of chesed. Okay. When we get into the Sfirot, will make more sense. The lower Yud, this part right here, okay, it is in a southwesterly position, symbolizing the evening setting of the sun and the attribute of din, okay, just judgment. So the numerical value of the letter Aleph is written out as Echad, okay, which is also an acronym for Aleph, Chesed, and Din. Okay. So the letter Aleph represents both the attributes of kindness and justice, the combination of sunrise and sunset, making a complete day. Okay, and it's also represented by the format of the Aleph. Okay. So I just want to take a look at this for 1 second. The numerical value of the letter Aleph is written out as Echad. Right, I'm sorry. Okay, what he's saying is the numerical value of Aleph is 1. The word itself, 1 in Hebrew, is Echad. Okay, that's the connection between. Okay, Now, when you do the gematria of the word echad, which means one, it's 13, because Aleph is 1, Het is 8, and Dalet is 4. So that's 13. Okay? But it's also an acronym for Aleph, Chesed, and Din, which this is a graph of these ideas that we just read. So that's what he's really trying to say. So, this is not even scratching the surface. How much information is encoded in these, in this little tiny, like character? It's unbelievable. I mean, and that's not even scratching the surface. Anyway, so I think we're almost done. Okay, not too bad. So this is from the book, The Hebrew Letters by Yitzhak Ginsburg. Okay. This is a famous book. Okay. So here we're gonna kind of, we already saw this, that the word Aleph can mean any of the following: oxen, 1,000, teaching, master, right? So the ox is the most basic animal image, okay? And it symbolizes worldly reality in general. It's one of the reasons for the golden calf. This calf image is kind of fundamental, especially in the ancient world. Okay? Just to give you an interesting view into that, this right here, right? You see the Aleph. This is the Ashurit Aleph, and this is the Aleph in Ktav Ivri, and this was supposed to be a symbol for a bull. Like when you, like this is like a bull on its side. If you were to like rotate this, let's see. Damn it, should be able to see. If you rotate this, you can see there's two horns here, right? And this is supposed to be the face and the ears. But we'll get back to that another time. Okay. So the ox, right, the most basic animal image, symbolizes worldly reality in general. And the human psyche, the animal soul, is the level of consciousness that instinctively relates to physical creation, right? The animal spirit descends to the earth, unlike the spirit of man, which ascends above. Okay. So the number 1,000 represents the complete manifestation of plurality as reflected in physical creation. 1,000 is 10 times 10 times 10. Each 10 is a full spectrum of 10 spherot, as manifest in every aspect of reality. Okay. This is just a comment on the form. So in the Zohar, the form of the Aleph is seen to represent the image of God. So let's be careful here. When this is always incorrectly translated, when they say the image of God, it means God's design, not the way he looks. God created a design in which he presents himself to us in visions of the prophets. We're all going to experience those visions in the future. Okay, but basically, the reason why he presents himself in that image is because it's an instruction manual for us. Okay, he created us in this image, in this design, because that's what he wants to have a relationship with. Okay, so this is the quote unquote image of God that we keep talking about. So again, in the Zohar, the form of the Aleph is seen to represent the image of God in which man was created. Okay, and it says, here's the quote. It says, Nase Adam v'tzalmenu ki mutenu. Let us make man in our image as our likeness. So the name Adam, man, that's the Hebrew word for man, Adam, is itself a compound of Aleph, corresponding to our image, and Dam, which is the two-letter root of Kidmutenu. See the emboldened letters over here. That's the root of this word. Okay, and that's the last two letters of Adam. Okay, And this word means as our likeness, looks like us. At the level of worlds, the Aleph is the paradox of man, a created finite being, however, stamped by the image of God. Okay? At the level of souls, the Aleph is the paradox of the infinite being of God, contracted yet actively manifest in the soul of man. Okay? The Jew living a life of Torah and mitzvot. At the level of divinity, the Aleph is the paradox implicit in the phrase used to describe Moses and other tzaddikim, righteous men, the man of God, which means man in perfect unity with the infinite will of God. God's infinite will is the image within him, the ultimate source of his revealed will as expressed in the finite-oriented mitzvot of Torah. The service of the man of God is his continual run and return between God's revealed will in Torah and mitzvot. So this run and return, this is a statement that you'll find in the vision of the prophet Yechezkel, Ezekiel. That's what he saw the angels doing. Okay. So again, so the run and return between God's revealed will in Torah and mitzvot, and its source in his essence in order to manifest more and more of the source in the revelation. This is referred to by our sages as unifying Torah with God, and is the secret of the potential bet, the letter of purpose, God's dwelling place below, residing potentially in the Aleph. Okay. Okay. All right. So he also talks about it. He says the Aleph is formed by two yuds, one to the upper right and the other to the lower left, joined by a diagonal vav. These represent the higher and lower waters and the firmament between them, as taught by the Arizal. Water is first mentioned in the Torah in the account of the first day of creation. Okay? And the Spirit of God hovered over the surface of the water. At this time, the higher and the lower waters were indistinguishable. Their state is referred to as water in water. On the second day of creation, God separated the two waters by stretching the firmament between them, and that would be the vav, right? That vav, okay? So now in the service of the soul, as taught in Chassidut, the higher water is water of joy, which is the experience of being close to God, while the lower water is water of bitterness, the experience of being far from God. Just some more lessons that are encoded within the form of the Aleph as we have it. This is very interesting. I want to give some credit to where I got a lot of this stuff from. Like this particular graphic is from Rabbi Moshe Armoni. You can find them on or one of his students who helped him with the presentation. So this is kind of a cartoonish yud, and this is the stick that separates the shaft that separates usually the yud, but as you can see, it's portrayed here as two vavs, okay, that are kind of like lying down, like head to foot. Okay? Just to give you an idea, because you see this, like when you say that this is a vav, that confuses some people because it doesn't really look like a vav, but this gives you an idea of what we're not seeing. Okay, there's a lot of details here. You could also look at each Hebrew letter as a shadow of an allegorical shadow of an allegorical three-dimensional object. Okay, so there's a lot of details within the shadow that are not, you can't see it in the shadow, but once you know what this is a shadow of, something like this, then the more light is shed. You can have more information. So show you this other interesting graphic. some of the importance of the Hebrew letters. So 1495 is the gematria of the entire alphabet. So if you add Aleph plus Bet plus Gimel plus Dalet plus Hey, and so on and so forth until you get to Tav, you get 1495. Okay? Which is interesting because 1495 is in gematria the same as this verse right here. Okay, this is from Genesis chapter 11, verse 1. Greg, can you help me translate it?
Sure.
Vayhi, can you translate for me?
ויהי כל הארץ שפע אחד ודברים אחדים.
So Vayhi, I think this is it because I don't have the Safari open, but Vayhi, and it was Kol Ha'aretz, the whole earth, Safa, that's a lip, right? Lip, Echat.
Yeah.
But Safa is another word for language. So Echat is one. So the whole earth spoke one language. Udvarim, and the words Echadim, the words that they spoke were united. They were as one. So everybody was on the same page. So this is a reference to the Tower of Babel builders. Okay, this is a statement about their mindset. Okay, everybody was united in the task of building the tower and the city. Okay, so, and the gematria of this is also 1495. Okay, with the kolel. Okay, which is a rule of gematria, which we'll talk about in the future. Okay, so these are the same. So the entire alphabet and this verse of the Torah have the same gematria, equal gematria. So there's a lot of reasons for that, but the coolest reason that I can think of that I can access right now is that look at the statement simply. It says the whole world spoke the same language. Doesn't tell you what language though, right? But the fact that the gematria of this statement is the same as the Hebrew letters, the Hebrew alphabet, that's a pretty clear indication of what language they were speaking. They spoke Hebrew.
Yeah.
Okay. One more graphic. Oh. Nope. Oh. This one first. So this is the first verse of the Torah. This is also from Rabbi Armoni. Okay, that's Rabbi Armoni, by the way. You can see a little picture of him right here. Okay, so this says Bereshit bara Elokim et hashamayim ve'et haaretz. That's the first verse of the Torah. Okay. So basically in the beginning of Bereshit, in the beginning of bara, creating Elokim, God. Et, you see the et is a different color here. It's painted red. Okay, so it's not a translated word. It's, what do they call the direct article? It's like an arrow which points to the next word, right? Emphasizing it. In this case, would be Hashemayim. Okay, so but really, on a very obvious level, it's saying in the beginning of creating, God et Hashemayim, Aleph Tav, Hashemayim of the heavens. Aleph Tav is the first letter of the Torah, and Tav is the last letter of the Torah. This is a representative symbol of the entire alphabet. Okay, so what he's saying is that in the beginning, God created the Aleph Bet. He created the alphabet of heaven, Hashemayim, the et, and the alphabet, ha'aretz, of the earth. Okay, so why is an alphabet the first thing that needs to be created? Because God created the world through the power of speech. Okay, sounds. God used sounds, and the building blocks of all of reality that God created are sounds, and the letters represent a specific sound, a specific frequency. Okay. So here's just another graphic which kind of points that out or emphasizes that. See? Right? Bereshit, bara, Elohim. And then here's the et, right? When you pull it out, right? You extend it, you got the entire alphabet in between, and then Hashemayim Ha'aretz. So, okay, so that's pretty much it. That's I had a bunch of more stuff, but I think that a lot of it is not necessarily, we don't necessarily need to talk about it now. But yeah, so I think that's good enough for now for Aleph, just to get everybody started, right? It's a good primer for Aleph, I think. What do you think?
Yes, sir.
Did you fall asleep?
No.
Okay, so I wasn't expecting like cartwheels, and I wasn't expecting like, whoa, dude, that's like, holy crap, you know? But the fact that you didn't fall asleep, I consider that a massive accomplishment.
Yep.
That concludes the presentation of Aleph. Greg, you look very troubled. How can I help? Talk to me.
I just don't understand people who can't take responsibility for their lives. And the
I can see now that Greg
blame has to be shifted.
Greg didn't fall asleep, folks. He didn't fall asleep, but not because of me, because he was being frustrated by people that he was responding to, ignoring my entire presentation. So thank you, Greg. Thank you. Appreciate that. Thank you. I really appreciate it. Shut up, Balrog. Yeah, get him out of here. Oh, guys, he's so cute. He's so adorable. So that's all I got. So
yeah.
If you wanted to, what do you want? You want to talk about something? You got a topic of discussion?
I don't even know anymore, man. The world's falling apart. Ukraine's about to get invaded.
Yeah, I keep hearing about this false flag.
Yeah.
Talk to me, bro. We're live. The folks at home.
One second.
You look frozen, Greg.
Well, sir. And our friend is here. We're live on Facebook.
What's up, live Facebook? What's up, Frank?
Yes, it is.
Our friend Ben is here.
Hello, friend Ben.
Hello, friend Frank.
Greetings and salutations.
Greetings.
Greg, this is what we call in the industry dead air.
Yes. Anyway. So, the Jewish people are troubled. That's all I can say. I've been wanting to say it for a very long time, that this issue is an Emunah issue, but it's so hard to watch. It's not hard to watch. It's hard to argue with people who know a lot of Torah. We spoke about this already, you know. And when people bring this ultimate kind of argument of like, well, Hashem gives us medicine. How do you answer that? How do you? It's very difficult. It's very difficult. Huh?
Here's how you answer it. Like, how do we know what's medicine? Like, the people who are, I'm gonna say something which is gonna seem extreme, but I think it's important. Okay, and I have respect. But when the Jews were being marched into the gas chambers, they didn't know they were going into gas chambers.
Yeah.
They thought they were gonna be showered. The Nazis were telling them that it's for hygiene purposes. So don't have outbreaks in these waiting centers until you guys get, So they were, I'm sure they, some of them were thinking, oh, Hashem is giving us a shower.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
How do you know? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So basically, when someone gives you something and calls it a medicine or a shower or a meal or something, it's not necessarily the case. You don't have to immediately accept it as something from Hashem.
Yeah.
Is everything from Hashem? Indirectly, yes, because he has to maintain reality entirely, even the bad stuff, to facilitate free will. But what does he associate himself with? What does God want to be associated with? He doesn't want to be associated with the bad. He maintains its existence to create free will, but that doesn't mean he likes it. Okay, how do you know that what you're getting is what God likes? Okay, that's what you should respond to them.
Yeah. No, the thing that tipped me off, so to speak, is when I just suddenly saw people who have otherwise kind of logic and seichel and kind of their wits about them usually say things like, all the big rabbis said to take it, when they know that's not even factually true. And even if it were true, which it's not, that's not what you base your medical decisions on. Or a person saying, I said Hallel when I found out that Israel got this thing. And I said, with a bracha or without a bracha? Are we Haredi or Rav Kook? Or, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, that kind of tipped me off, and it's like, it's just difficult because it's like you see otherwise, it'd be one thing if it was just like secular people going crazy. Like, what do you expect, But here we're talking about, I noticed like there's frum people who didn't take the stuff, and they say, and they were ridiculed by other frum people who did. And they were ridiculed by Talmidei Chachamim who did, and it's just like, and I look at this whole the whole kind of scene, if I'm watching it like as like a play or a movie, and I'm like, gee, I wonder who's right here. I wonder who the nice guys are, not even the good guys and bad guys, but who are the sensible people and who are the crazies in this particular case.
Yeah, man.
It's just interesting. Like, it's just really interesting. And then you show people, you point a mirror at them, and it's just, they can't. They just can't. I mean, like these people are about to find out. Somebody wrote a meme. It's like that meme, the famous meme that's going around. We're about to see the most excruciating, painful "I told you so" in the history of mankind. But like, is that even like? Do we even want that?
No, of course not.
You know what I mean? It's just like,
what do we win? What do we win?
Yeah, we don't win anything. Whoop-de-doo. I want a admission of that I'm right from my friend. That's
like being right about a meteor headed straight for the.
Exactly.
What's so great about being right about that?
Yeah, everybody's gonna fucking die. That's what's wrong.
Greg, I'm getting a little anxious. Because just for one moment, because my cousin called me, and it's definitely in relation to my uncle, and I went to see him in the hospital today. Can I just try to call him and find out what he wanted to tell me?
Not a problem, sir. But
probably like I need like a minute or two.
Not a problem, but we can get then I'll just, I can stop the recording now if that's cool with you, and then we could just.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
All right. Sorry about that.
Yeah. All good.
Okay.
Do this.